I'm Caroline Simpkins, a former professional ballerina turned researcher, and in today's episode, we are exploring something many ballet dancers know all too well: the pointe shoe. But what happens when that shoe wears out? How does a dead pointe shoe affect a dancer's balance, muscle activity, and injury risk? We'll be unpacking some of the latest research that compares new and dead pointe shoes and what it means for the dancers pushing their bodies to the limit in the studio and on the stage. The study we'll discuss today is titled Lower Extremity Biomechanics and Muscle Activity Differ Between New and Dead Pointe Shoes in Professional Ballet Dancers, and it was published in Sports Biomechanics in 2021. This topic really resonates with me personally. It's something I seriously considered researching years ago but never pursued. During my time as a professional ballerina in a company with a limited budget, many of us wore dead pointe shoes for as long as possible to avoid spending our own money on shoes. I actually preferred the feel of softer, worn shoes because they made me feel more connected to the floor and allowed better foot articulation. Still, I sometimes wonder if wearing stiffer, newer shoes more often might have helped prevent some of the chronic overuse injuries I experienced in my feet and lower legs. I'm sure many of you can relate to this, and I hope you'll find today's discussion both engaging and insightful. Now, let's take a step back and talk about ballet itself. When most people think of ballet, they imagine grace, precision, and strength wrapped in seemingly effortless movement. But behind the scenes, ballet is incredibly demanding. Dancers endure repetitive, high-impact movements and training schedules rivaling elite athletes, sometimes over 60 hours a week professionally and up to 30 hours for pre-professional students. With this volume of training, injuries are unfortunately quite common. Research shows that ballet injury rates average about 1 injury per 1,000 hours danced, and most injuries are chronic, caused by overuse. The foot and ankle are particularly vulnerable, accounting for over a third, sometimes more than half, of all injuries, including sprains, tendon issues, and stress fractures. In sports medicine, footwear is critical. Runners replace shoes regularly to avoid injury, but pointe shoes are different. They offer almost no shock absorption. Instead, they're designed to be rigid, with a tough toe box, which is this part here, and a stiff shank that supports dancers when rising on pointe on their toes, and that is this part here. Once these structural parts wear down, the shoe is considered dead. Unlike running shoes, there's no standard way to define when a pointe shoe is dead, just a feeling that it no longer supports you properly. I'm going to take a moment to visually show an example of a new shoe and a dead shoe, so I recommend checking out the YouTube video version of this episode if you typically listen as an audio podcast. So here we have a brand new shoe. You can see how stiff and structured it looks. The toe box is firm, and the shank underneath is solid, giving strong support to the arch of the foot. This stiffness is what helps dancers balance and perform those beautiful on-pointe movements safely. Now let's look at a dead pointe shoe. Notice how much softer and more worn it appears. The toe box has lost its firmness, and the shank has become flexible and weak. So over time, with hours of dancing, the glue breaks down and the materials start to wear out. Dead shoes matter because they force dancers to work harder. They can cause instability, muscle overuse, and fatigue, especially in muscles that stabilize the ankle, like the tibialis anterior and gastrocnemius, which are two key muscles in the lower leg. Dead shoes also increase postural sway, or body wobble, if you will, which in other sports is linked to higher injury risk. So this likely applies to ballet too. The study we are discussing today worked with professional female ballet dancers with over 10 years of pointe experience. They compared movements performed in dancers' own new shoes, which were worn between 3 and 36 hours, versus their own dead shoes, which were worn 108 to 144 hours. The dancers performed two key ballet movements: releve, which in layman's terms is like rising onto the toes from a squat, and arabesque, which is balancing on one leg with the other leg extended behind. The researchers measured how much the dancers wobbled, again, which is technically called sway area, the force generated at the ankle, and muscle activity in two ankle stabilizing muscles, again, the tibialis anterior and the medial gastrocnemius. For their hypothesis, the researchers expected to see more ankle rolling force in dead shoes, more downward pointing force or plantar flexion in dead shoes, larger sway area in dead shoes, and higher muscle activity in dead shoes due to extra effort to stay balanced. The results from this comparison of new versus dead point shoes in professional ballet dancers confirmed many of their key predictions. Sway area increased in releve and arabesque with the dead point shoes, meaning less stability in dead shoes versus new ones. Muscle activity in the tibialis anterior increased by about 6% during arabesque in the dead shoes, indicating more effort to maintain balance. The other muscle and force measures didn't show significant changes, but these findings highlight how dead shoes make balancing more challenging, causing the body to work harder. Dancers sometimes go through 60 pairs of point shoes a month and sometimes wear multiple pairs during a single performance. Replacing shoes often can be expensive, as I mentioned earlier, so many push their shoes beyond the point of optimal support without realizing the increased injury risk. This study provides clear, measurable evidence that dead point shoes increase instability and muscle strain, which could lead to fatigue and injuries in professional ballet dancers over time. When stability at the ankle decreases, the whole body compensates, potentially stressing hips and core muscles. The tibialis anterior muscle, which again is a key muscle for ankle control, gets overworked, which can cause chronic issues like tendon pain or repeated strains and sprains. So what can we conclude? Dead point shoes don't just feel worse, they biomechanically demand more from the dancer's body, increasing the injury risk. Like all studies, there are a few limitations to keep in mind. This study involved only 7 professional dancers, but still had strong statistical power. And the testing was done in a lab setting rather than on a traditional dance floor, which could have influenced the movement slightly. Also, dancers used their own shoes, which varied in brand and construction, so results might differ with different footwear. Future research might explore how to define when a shoe is officially dead, the perfect balance between shoe support and flexibility, and whether brand differences affect injury risk. So the key takeaway is this. If you are a dancer, teacher, or choreographer, it's crucial not to underestimate the impact that point shoes have on both performance and injury prevention. Point shoes are more than just a part of the costume. They are essential tools that directly affect a dancer's balance, muscle function, and overall biomechanics. Wearing shoes that are worn out or dead can increase the physical demands on the dancer's body, leading to greater fatigue, decreased stability, and a higher risk of injury, especially in the ankles and the feet. By understanding the signs that indicate when a point shoe needs to be replaced, dancers and those who support them can make smarter decisions that protect dancers' health. This not only helps prevent chronic injuries that can sideline a career, but also supports long-term performance quality and longevity in the demanding world of ballet. Prioritizing shoe condition is a key piece of the puzzle in keeping dancers safe, strong, and performing at their best, both in the studio and on the stage. And that wraps up our in-depth look at new versus dead point shoes. I hope you found our exploration not just informative, but also inspiring in some way, maybe even changing how you think about those shoes on stage or in the studio. If you'd like to learn more or want to dive into the research yourself, I've included the full citation and a link to the original study in the show notes below. Thank you for joining me today for the Ballet Science Podcast. Whether you are a dancer, teacher, student, or simply curious about the mechanics behind movement, I appreciate you being here today. Each week, we will explore the intersection of science and ballet, from injury prevention and biomechanics to nutrition, mindset, and everything in between. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow this podcast, leave a review, and share it with your friends and dance community. If there are specific topics you'd like to hear about in future episodes, feel free to share them in the comments below. You can also follow Ballet Science on social media and visit our website at ballet.science for additional information. Thank you again for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Ballet Science Podcast.